Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Politically Incorrect Knitters. I'm Deplorable Knitter. I am joined, as always, by my fabulous co-host, Anne Pinkava. Hi, Anne.
Hello. And also remember that we now have a new sponsor, Lynn from Chicken Lady Fiber Arts at chickenladyfiberarts.com. She has a special promo code for us at 20% off. And the code is PIK Deplorables20 for your coupon.
And Chicken Lady has an awesome array of fibers that are from the US and from Peru and the UK. And make sure you check her out. She adds colors all the time. She's constantly updating and dyeing. And she also mentioned this past week that if you need something to match a special skein or you have a color in your head you really want, to get in touch with her because she loves to help you guys make that happen. So make sure you check her out. And this week we have a very special guest. We've been super excited to have her on. Her name is Clara, and she is Miss Happy Rose on the interwebs. And she and Anne's dog has to get in on it. But she is French, and she has put out a video about Ravelry, and we are just so excited to talk to you. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So you just released a YouTube video about what happened in Ravelry and the perception of what happened in France. Can you tell us why you decided to do that?
Yes. So 2 years ago in 2019, I've seen most everyone, I think, on Instagram what happened on Ravelry, but I had no information about why it happened. And I've heard that it was all about a racist pattern, but I couldn't see it anywhere. So it looked bizarre to me to see that people were talking about racism, but not giving any information. And in the French community, some influencers started to talk about it, but didn't say anything about the pattern, the designer. And it was really weird, but everyone was telling, you should come with us and stand with Ravelry. You should do this, you should do that. So I know social media because I work on social media since 5 years. And I know that when influencers say you should do this, you should do that, sometimes it's quite weird. And I didn't want to say anything about it on my social media because influencers were saying you should post something to say this. And before saying anything, I wanted to understand. And so this is why I started to look up on newspapers in English, because in French, there was nothing. And I started looking at videos on YouTube. And then I found out that it was about Trump. And I saw nothing racist on the pattern. So I really wanted to understand. And then before talking about it on Instagram, because during the pandemic, there was the George Floyd video and the Black Square and everything like that. And I talked about Trump to another influencer. And then I saw that my Instagram account was not blocked, but shadow banned. And so I thought that's weird because if you pronounce some words on the social media, your account can be shadow banned, and it's not fair because you didn't say anything wrong. And so I started writing everything down and collecting videos. And I was thinking that it should be good for the community to have a document and to know what happened and why, and to see that sometimes what people tell you on social media is not true. And in this case, there was nothing racist. I'm sorry. If people think that's racist, they have to tell me why. And so this is why I made this video. And I didn't know that I would make it in 2 years. It's really long. So, but I'm happy that it's live now. I'm happy. And so that was a big work for me, but now I'm happy that I know what happened and I know what I can think about it and tell what I think about it. And I don't care if people are not don't agree with this.
No, when I saw your video, I was really impressed with all of the research and the effort that you did and the different clips and the sources that you did. And, you know, really thorough job of looking at the entire issue. And I mean, maybe it was helpful too, that it was a bit later because you were able to incorporate more current events into it too.
Yes. Yes, and I wanted to publish the video in November, I remember, because there was the election, everything, the events, and but now I'm happy because I know what happened next with the border, because I wanted to talk about the border and the way that the Democrats talk about it, like they are not responsible of anything.
Right.
And the events of this year are great for my video because it shows how hypocrites they are in this situation. And the fact that Kamala Harris went to a yarn shop instead of going to work, work for important matters. I know for entrepreneurs, it's the pandemic is really bad for the shops because, for example, in France, shops had to close. So I know that the pandemic had influenced the way the economy worked during this year. But with the border in the US, to me, it looked so important. And I also talked about it because the influencers that were anti-Trump always said that Trump didn't matter about the border, that he didn't care. And now they are at the White House and they don't go and fix the problem. So I just wanted to address that and waiting for everything to be in place like a puzzle, I think. I had to take an article here, a video here, and in the end, I think it's really important to tell everything from the start to the end, and that's why I took all these references and linked everything so everyone can see what happened. So yes, so
Yeah,
it's a lot of work, but that was important to me.
Yeah, it is a ton of work, and you did it so well. So in France, are you in the minority? Do most people that you come across think that Trump was a horrible racist person, or is it in the knitting community a lot like it is here, or is it just a widespread feeling?
I think that everyone repeats what they hear on TV for Trump, but for other subjects also. But for Trump, yes, they say that he's a racist and that he's an idiot also. That really, because on TV, when they talk about him, they just show short sentences about what he said. But sometimes, and I'm sure you know, sometimes they choose short sentences of humor. So he says things to make people laugh, but in the news they say that he only said this, and he's a bad person and he's an idiot. He doesn't know what he talks about. So in the French knitting community also, they don't like him. I don't see a lot of people talking about him in a good way. So, and I think that they are afraid to talk about him actually, like he's the bad person. He's not good. So, and regarding the minority, I'm not in a minor. I don't feel I'm part of a minority. But things are changing because of the American influence. The politics of the United States come to France, and there are some people who want to take the everything happening in the US. They want to transpose it. I don't know if that's a good word. They want to put this situation in a French context, saying that's the same here. And look at what's happening. There is racism, but instead of fighting against racism, they're starting to say that there are some minorities. So they're saying you are part of a minority because you are a mixed race or you are Black, etc. But in the country, in France, we were not raised like this. I remember when I was at school, for example, I was born in the countryside of France, in a small village. And when I came to Paris, because my mother had a new job in Paris, I started first grade in a school where there were 44 nationalities. And
Wow.
so there were people from everywhere. And so we were not told that we were minorities because it was really multicultural, and we were not raised like you are a minority and France doesn't like you or France doesn't want you to succeed, etc. There was nothing like this, and we were all together, happy, playing with everyone, and racism was not a subject. Actually, we were there to learn school, to learn how to write, how to count, and we were playing without thinking about anything like this. But now things have changed, and I think it's a lot like the US, and they are taking these concepts to France. So I think that's why everything changes now.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of how it has been in America for a while too, that, you know, kids who grew up with people from different backgrounds and didn't think of it are suddenly being told like, oh, wait, you have to have a special consideration for this person or that person because they're of a different racial background. And
Yes.
that I think that puts a lot of coldness in between people. It makes it awkward. It makes that you can't just get along and all be friends if you have to remember, oh, wait, I have to make sure to be extra polite, and that
Yes.
breeds problems in itself.
Yeah.
That it puts walls in between people where they just simply don't need to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that the race thing, I mean, I think I'm older than both you girls, but I don't think the race thing was an issue. I mean, growing up, I have cousins that are mixed race, and I never thought of them any differently. And actually my kids, they're very best friends. The mother is from Africa, and one of them asked me about racism, and you know, why wouldn't you like somebody because of their skin color? You know, I love this friend, that's my best friend, I don't care what color their skin is. And I really think that it's a social construct that everybody's using to make, just to make, you cannot make a country fall when everybody gets along. So how do you break them apart? You break them apart by race and religion and sexuality, and once you start getting all these little groups, then it's a lot harder for people to come together. But I don't think it's natural. All of this saying, oh, I don't like you because that's not how it is. I have kids. They don't see anybody different. My kids are thrilled when another kid wants to play with them on the playground. They don't care what they look like as long as they're nice to them. And I think they're trying to make it like, oh, everybody is not racist. It's a bunch of nonsense, but we all know that.
Yes. Exactly.
Now,
like you said, though.
Right. So I mean, you know, you have sort of French view of Trump, but I mean, there is the language barrier too, that it is difficult, that, you know, you only tend to get the mainstream news sources out of France. So, I mean, like every once in a while we'll hear a story, like I believe Macron wanted to keep all the statues, and that was that people were trying to tear the statues down or saying that you shouldn't have them. And he was very staunch on, no, the statues stay, we're France. And other issues like that they're, you know, like we get a little something every once in a while, but not, you know. And then at the same time, he seems to have come down very hard on COVID regulations as well. That, that it seems, perhaps it's not a contradiction, but it seems a contradiction of woohoo, we're free France, and also vaccine passports for everyone.
Yes, because regarding the vaccine passport, they are saying that you are doing this to protect others. So if you get the passport vaccine, and if you get the vaccine, you are a good person and you are helping others. So Yes, if you compare it to the statue story, actually here in France, we didn't really hear a lot about the statue issue because I think it's not really an issue, and there were a little group of people who wanted to remove some of them. But there are so many monuments here in France, and I think it would be really hard to remove something from a monument in France, I'm sure. But regarding everything that's happening regarding the passport, the vaccine passport, it's really hard at the moment in France, because you can go to the restaurant, you can go to some malls, and you can go to the hospital. That's really serious. That's an issue, because if you have an appointment, you have to get a test, and if it's positive, you can't go to the hospital. So it's an
Which
issue.
seems counterproductive.
Yes.
You know, if you have COVID, you should be able to go to the hospital.
Yes, but if you have COVID, no, you can't. Go and take some, I don't know how you say this medicine, it's a Doliprane. You have to take this little drug stuff that's for the headache.
Okay.
Isomenophin, I don't know how you call this, but you have to take this little stuff and wait 10 days at home, and then you come back to the hospital when you are good.
So if you have COVID, they aren't letting you in?
You can go to the emergency.
Okay,
you can go to the emergency. You go to the emergency without any pass, any vaccine. They should take care of you. But if you have an appointment, for example, for a specialist for eyes or for anything else, for an operation, for example, a surgery. For surgery, you have to get the pass. It's a pass. So either the vaccine or a test, a COVID test, less than 3 days. You have to do this 3 days before. And then if it's negative, you can go to the hospital.
So I just went to a concert a couple weeks ago with my brother. So this band, though, made a huge deal about, like, I went with my brother, and we were like one of the last concerts before you had to have a test or you had to have a vaccine to enter a venue. And they made this big deal about unvaccinated people have to have tests and this and that and everything. And after they implemented these really stringent guidelines, 2 of the band members came down with COVID. And it's just ironic to me, all of these regulations, and you know, it's been proven that even vaccinated people can still transmit and contract it.
Yes.
Is that something that's been brought up? Like, are people talking about that where you are, or are they all just saying have the pass? And
they're talking about it, and in the media, some people who are pro-vaccine don't want to hear it, and they say, no, you can transmit it, but 5 times less. So what does that mean? If you transmit it or not, you 5 times less. It doesn't mean anything to me. So it shouldn't be so severe. You can transmit it, but just a little. And
just get a little bit of COVID.
Yes. And what's weird is that people who are vaccinated don't have to do a test. So only the people who didn't get the vaccine should have a negative test if they want to go to a concert or a football match, for example. But all the vaccinated people don't have to get the test. So they can have the COVID, but no one would know. So
yeah, which is also funny because they seem to be, oh, if you're vaccinated and you get COVID, then it's the unvaccinated fault. And it's like, you just spread it among yourselves. What are you doing?
That's the part that kills me, because like this band, they're so vaccine, you know, COVID scary. And then they got sick after they got this crazy, like, the unvaccinated people didn't give it to you because they were tested. So you got it from one of your other, like, it just, the whole mindset makes me, it's not funny, but it's amusing because it doesn't make sense. We don't,
No.
common sense used to be a great thing, and now nobody really seems to care about it anymore. If you don't follow the science and listen to the experts, then you're bad, and it's crazy
Yes.
just watching it.
Yes.
But
And in France, they say that you are from the far right. It's political now. Yes.
right.
Yes, it's
Well,
the same as in the knitting community. If you don't agree with everyone, you are on the far right. So you're not good.
you're on the wrong side. And
Yes.
it's so funny because when President Trump was in office, all of the Democrats, Kamala Harris is noted saying, I would be skeptical about getting a vaccine. And now she's rolling up her shirt
Yes.
sleeve, smiling for the camera. And it just,
I saw the video.
it hurts my brain to think about it because none of it makes sense. But so you have to have a passport to go many places, right? Are there any places you can go without one?
To the supermarket. That's the only, the grocery store. Yes, you can go buy everything you need without any passport. But if you want to go to the mall, you have to have a passport. If you want to go to the movie theater also, so you can't go to the cinema anymore. And of course,
I don't know what movies you have playing in France, but the American ones have not been awesome lately.
Here, I think there's it's all French movies. I think French movies and the Black Widow. I think I saw this, but I don't go there anymore. So
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
I saw a video of people protesting, and I mean, I don't remember where specifically it was in France, but people were like swarming outside of a grocery store because they wouldn't let them in without a passport.
Yes,
but that was a few weeks ago.
Yes,
so.
I think it was in Marseille, in the south of France. Yes, and they did this in other malls of France. I don't know in which cities, but every Saturday they meet in different cities to protest against it. But the media don't really talk about these events, so it's hard to get information on TV or in the newspapers. You have to go to Facebook and YouTube to get information now, or to Rumble, because sometimes on YouTube the videos can't stay long.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, they get censored.
And you mentioned in your video that you kind of explain craftivism, that's not really a phrase that they have in France, and other sort of the differences between American activism, which I thought it was brilliant that you pointed out is very much like regular advertising. The phrases that they use, the colors they use, the fonts they use, but that there's sort of a different idea of what activism is in the American context versus in France, where there seems to be more in-person protesting as more of a cultural part of France than America. That I mean, like you said, that it's difficult to find videos, but I remember another one where it was people having picnics outside restaurants that wouldn't let them in and stuff like that.
Yes, actually, you can see a lot of people doing things on their own. And I've heard that someone came in front of a restaurant with his horse, and he started his own restaurant outside. So, and people film this and put it on YouTube so everyone can see it. But yes, people protest on their own, and they meet in small groups. But now there are bigger groups in Paris and in big cities of France. And I don't know the exact number of people who were there, but in Paris, it's really a lot. You can see the pictures that the streets are full of people. And so I think it's bigger and bigger every week.
Yeah. I think as people are realizing that, like, these lockdowns and regulations aren't going to go away, there's more and more of them are starting to speak up. School started here yesterday. In New York, where I live, school started yesterday. I know other parts of the country start earlier in August, but there were videos of kids like whose schools were saying they had to wear masks, and there was this group of like 100 students and teachers out in front of the school without masks on, and the people in charge wouldn't let them in. And finally, a police officer came and said, "I'm not going to force masks onto their faces." And the students finally got in. But I think people are starting to see that this is how we can't just send our kid into school with a mask on. Like, these were teenagers, they weren't like small children. But we need to get to the point where we're saying, this is not okay, this is not what we're going to do, and making a stand, because so many people are just like, oh, just wear the mask and then they'll let us go back. Well, and now they're like, oh, just get the vaccine and they'll let us go back. Now you have to have a mask on and a vaccine and a passport and a, like, now
booster shots.
Dr. Fauci's talking about one of the things, you might have to take 2 pills a day. If you get the Pfizer shot booster, and then you might have to take 2 pills a day on top of it. Like, what is
That's insane.
How did we go from 2 weeks to slow the spread to it's just, I think, like you said, the protests in Paris are growing every week, and I think it's because people are really, really starting to see after 2 years of this that, like, this is not just going to go away. We're not just going to, comply, and they're going to give us our rights back. Like,
yes, because many people say, I did the vaccine because, I want to have a normal life now. I want to go back to my normal life, but they don't understand that every time they are going to have to do something else to live in a normal way. But I don't think that anything is normal today, actually. So there are a lot of people who protest, but also there are lots of people who don't see anything bad in it. And sometimes I'm a bit afraid, but I hope that they will change their mind and see what's happening. But I hope.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I think people are complacent. They like the way things are. They think, oh, I'll just agree and go back to, and they don't, nobody wants to rock the boat. Nobody likes to be the person that's getting called names and stuff. It's not natural, so it makes sense. Have you gotten any of that? I mean, I know you said you've been shadow banned, but have you had people that have told you that you're racist or horrible, or?
No, nobody ever told me that, because I know a lot of people that think the same way as I do, and because we are not racist, they bring this subject into the French media, but it's something that we never talked about. And there's also something I wanted to tell you, is that there are some actresses in France who wrote a book, and they created a group called Black is Not My Job, I think. Okay. Black is Not My Job. So they are Black actresses, and they did some movies, some TV shows, and now they are in a group, and every time I see them on social media, they are talking about the fact that they are Black. So really, I think it's sad, actually, and I don't know what's happening exactly, and I think it's something of social media, because in normal life, when you go to work, you don't talk about that, actually. It's only on social media. I think in France, it's really on Instagram and in some places in Paris, but it's not the life of everyone. You live a normal life, you go to your work, you take care of your kids, and it's really on social media here that so no one told me that I'm a racist. I didn't get any comments, so.
Not yet.
Yes, not yet.
You've come on our show now, so just wait. But
I will tell you next week.
Yeah, next week we'll update on whether or not she's a horrible person now.
After my Instagram account will be blocked.
Yeah. No. I get shadow banned all the time, and people are like, "Oh, you're not shadow banned. You just want attention."
No, I
why
think
would I?
we are shadow
Why would
banned.
I make that up? Yeah.
Yes. When you have a post
get-
that's that gets 60, 70 likes, and the next day you have only 10, you're shadow banned.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, whatever. I do want to know about knitting, though. I mean, I want to know, you've had a YouTube channel and a blog for a couple of years, right?
Yes, since maybe 6, 7 years now. Yes.
Oh, okay, so longer than I thought. And you were mostly doing knitting tutorials for a while, or like talking about your projects, weren't you?
I was talking about my projects at first, and then I started doing some short videos to learn new stitches, and then I started to make patterns on Ravelry. And after that, I was hired by a French company. So since 3 years now, I don't do many things in knitting because I have a full-time job in the knitting industry. So, but I still knit sometimes. I have a blanket here, baby blanket, but
Very
I don't
nice.
really have time to do this. And thank you. So yes, and I'm thinking about removing everything from Ravelry too, because I still have everything on Ravelry. And I wanted to keep my account to do some research before being banned if they see my video. I don't know.
It depends on, sometimes they just come down like a ton of bricks on things like, yeah, you're banned, you're destroyed. And I really don't think they pay attention to things outside their own bubble.
Yes.
Like that they would have this massive Trump ban and Trump is the devil and this is and that. But I'm like, you're an international company. Does it really matter what the I mean, I know based in America, but does it really matter what the American president thinks of that? You're in France and wake up, you're like, no Trump support. You're like, what do I care?
Yes, exactly. And the way that the French influencers talk about it, like it's you have to stand for Ravelry, you have to say this, you have to say that, but what is it about? I don't know. I just go on Ravelry to get some patterns. I don't spend my life there. I don't know anything about them. And why should I talk about it? So I don't understand. Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know what they are going to say about this video because the French community doesn't know that I'm going to accept the people who are on my Instagram, but as I'm shadow banned, I think that there are few people who know, but we'll see.
No, I'm really interested to see what the reception is to it because they make it out like everybody agrees with them, and I just think that a lot of people who don't agree with them are kind of like, well, there's no point in rocking the boat. They've made their choice. Because Anna and I got a ton of positive feedback from our video that we did and the things that we've done. But, you always get a couple of trolls. But I think that mostly people, I'm just really interested to see how it's going to be. You're going to have to keep us up to date, especially on the French video,
yes.
because I'm not going to be able to read the comments on it. So
I will tell you. Yes.
I want to know, like, if you know what I'm getting at, right, Anne? Like, I wonder how many people really agree with what the influencers were saying, or if it's similar to what we've dealt with, where a lot of people agree with us, they just don't want to come out and say it.
I think it's the same.
Or if they even care.
Yes, maybe they don't even know about anything like this, because as I said, it's only on Instagram, and I'm not sure that many people know about it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, It was big news here, like you said in your video. It was on all of the major news stations, and so like it was a big deal compared to. But yeah. Yes. Anyway.
But I really hope that people will see that they don't have to put people into groups because of their skin color. I just want to if I have to raise awareness like them, I would like to I would like people to know that they are not part of any group because of their skin color. They are just like everyone, and they shouldn't pay attention to this, because if we listen to these influencers, if I listen to them, I will think that I'm a victim, and I'm not. So I want everyone to be to know that people are not racist. There are some racists, but the French people is not racist, for example. So yeah. I hope they will understand, but I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will, because there are a few people who are saying that it's all about racism, but people won't accept that because it's not true.
Anne loves international politics. It's her forte. She tells me everything that's happening all around the world, and I tell her what's going on in New York because we're one of the worst states. Yeah. So
international news also means her, because it's like halfway across the country.
Yeah.
Again, it's not knitting news or related, but with the recent American withdrawal out of Afghanistan, I mean, bits and pieces of international news, but America just pulling out, and then we didn't, the American government didn't tell its allies, including France. And I'm kind of wondering, because France has, from my understanding, has a really strong paramilitary, and they were in Afghanistan and they got their people out much better than we did. So I'm wondering what the sort of military reaction to the situation in Afghanistan, if you know anything.
I don't really know what they. Yes, I understand. I didn't hear a lot about the way that the military reacted, because here they talked more about immigration and that people from Afghanistan would come to France. That's everything I heard, actually. And in the media, the debate was about the fact that we would have some people coming from Afghanistan to France, but they did not really talk about the military, or I didn't hear about it. Okay. So yes, I'm sorry, I can't.
No, that's.
I can't.
I don't expect you to necessarily be gung ho for the French military. It was
it also could be that it wasn't nearly as badly executed as ours was, which is why there wasn't nearly as much information about it.
Yes, and they were focusing on the way that the US handled it, actually. Yes, they talked a lot about Biden, and they showed a plane where everyone was running, etc. So we saw these images. Yes.
Yeah. So they did mention how terribly Biden handled it.
Yes, they did. Yes.
Okay.
And
well,
there's a
good.
French. Yes, and I was surprised because there's a French journalist who stays in the US, in Washington, I think. She's always there to talk about the elections and everything. And she was pro-Biden. She wanted him to go to the White House. And now she's saying that he did a bad job. So I was surprised. Yes.
I think that the way it was handled, even the people who are trying to really tell us that he's doing a great job had trouble spinning it because it was handled so poorly. And now there's you mentioned the immigrants coming in, and I've heard several stories that here in the US we're having trouble because some of the immigrants are bringing their underage child brides, and they don't know how to deal with it because in the US that's considered like sexual abuse. And so it's have you heard about that, Anne, or not yet?
Not that specifically. I have seen different things of, yes, we are bringing all of our Afghanistan translators to America. Also, if anyone could translate for them at this hospital, hang on.
How are they? No, but I just thought it was interesting that they're like, oh yeah, we're going to get all these immigrants and refugees and whatever. And then also we don't know what to do because they're married to kids. Like, it's just it's a cultural difference. It's I don't know. I don't want to judge, but
I'd be judging.
It's something that I found.
You're like, no, you can't have your 4-child brides here. That's not allowed. I'll say it. But
So when they talk about the immigrants, have you heard about the child brides, or am I the only one that's heard this story?
I didn't hear about this.
Man, I've got to get a better news source, I guess. So is there anything else you want to tell us about the video, that you want to tell us about your knitting, about your...
Regarding the video, no, I just hope that people will understand what I wanted to tell them, and that they will be careful now when they see something on social media before standing with anyone, to wait a little bit and to do some research just to see who is giving the message, because you're never sure what you are going to when you are going to answer someone from the community. If you answer too quick, maybe you will regret what you said and you will get into trouble. Sometimes it's better to just to wait a little bit and to look more into the subject to be sure about what to say. Just and don't think that also I want to people to know that we are not victims. Just this. This is the most important. Yeah.
well, I was about to ask, you know, a lot of American ideas have been pushing their way to France that, you know, I apologize that my country seems to be trying to tell you what to do. You know, that I'm sorry. Also, you know, hey, what do you want to tell us to do? This is an opportunity. Go ahead.
What to do? Well, but I think it's not really the country. It's some people in the politics who want to take the power. I think it's not about the country. I went to the United States 3 times several years ago, and I loved everything I saw in the country, and I really like the US, and it's all about politics. I think these people who want to run other parts of other countries, or who want to give their ideas put their ideas into people's minds, shouldn't come and tell us what to think, because we have our own culture, we have our history, and yes, I think we should work together, but not go all in the same way. We should all be different and share our culture, but not to tell anyone what to do. It's the same with France, so we shouldn't say anything, you know, because maybe I'm not aware of this, but maybe some other countries do this also. So yeah,
no, you know, that's a really good point about we shouldn't be telling each other what to do. And I think that, like you said, if you just look into an issue on your own, you're going to find so much more information than anything that the media or influencers or anyone is telling you. I felt like the clips that you put into your video they didn't necessarily make President Trump look like the most fabulous guy on earth. I always said he was a little brutish in the way he spoke, a little unpolished, but I think that you can look at that and see that he had good intentions, and then you had a lot of clips of the other side just straight up lying to people. And I just think that your example, you're saying, do your own research, look into things, because what everybody is showing you is not always the right thing. And it's important to use your God-given common sense to work it out. And that's really good for everyone to remember. But
and don't be afraid to think for yourself. Is this the way that you say this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's okay to go against the flow, you know, to be your own person.
But we can meet again after if you want. I will be happy to join you again.
I would love
Yes.
to find out about the video. Maybe we can do that again. And Anne can send you a list of things she wants to know about that are happening in France, so that you can
Yes,
brush
yes,
up.
yes,
That's
please.
true.
Yes,
Like
you can
the
send me an
yellow
email.
vest.
Yeah.
It's like we hear
Great
about the
to-
yellow vests. Who are the yellow vests? Why are the yellow vests? I have no clue.
The what? Sorry.
Sorry, the yellow vests.
The yellow vest. Yes,
I don't know.
yes, yes.
Like I
The
said,
yellow vest. Yes, they are coming back. I saw that they did a protest maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago in Paris.
Mhm.
So there were 2 protest separate reunions. There were the yellow vest and the patriots, the French patriots.
Right.
And yes, but I can do some research for you and tell you
No, just-
next.
but why are the yellow vests protesting? I never know why. I just hear that they're protesting. I'm like, what are they here for?
I think it started with the gas prices
Okay.
Oh,
in
I remember
November.
that.
Yes, and they wanted also to protest because of the salary.
Okay.
You said the salary, how much they are paid every month, because they are not paid a lot. How can I say that? The revenue is still the same, you know.
Okay.
For many jobs, you have the same revenue. It's about 1,100 euros, and it's the minimum revenue. So
Okay.
they can work for 40 years and get the same revenue during
Okay.
40 years. It will never change. So they want to take the revenue up, because the prices are going up every year. The
Mhm.
prices are going up, but the salary doesn't, the revenue doesn't go up. It stays the same. So every year they have less money actually. And they are protesting because they want salaries to go higher. And they want also to have better jobs and better education, everything. It's a mix of many subjects: education, work, prices, and also for house and I don't know, when you rent your apartment, for example, you have a price to pay every month, and there are problems with this also, because there are some kinds of apartments that are provided by the cities, and you have to register to get an apartment with a price that is less important than in other apartments. So there are apartments that are run by the city councils, for example. So it's a public thing, and you have to register, but there are less apartments than there are requests. So there are too many requests, but a small number of apartments, and you have to wait maybe 5 years sometimes in some cities to get an apartment. And it happened to me before I had this job. I was living in the suburb area of Paris, and we had made a file to get an apartment, but we had to wait maybe 2 years. And after 2 years, they told us that we didn't earn enough money, even for a rent in the public apartments. So sometimes it gets really difficult to earn your money and to send your kids to school, etc. So the yellow vest, it was all about economic problems, and they wanted things to get better, but you've seen what happened in the streets with the police and everything.
Mhm.
So it stopped after many weeks, but they're coming back now.
Oh, like I said, it's stuff like that where, you know, literally gets lost in translation.
Yes. So maybe you don't have this information in the US media about France. Do you
Right,
have-
that-
yes.
Like
They don't
everyone,
explain that.
not to that extent, no.
No, I knew they were mad about gas prices, but I never heard anything extra about it. And see, that's where you're at an advantage compared to us, where you can be like, oh, I want to know more about Trump. I can go watch the American news. Whereas if we want to learn more about France, if it's not printed in English,
Yes.
we're out of luck. So
If I had only done the Rosetta Stone program beyond I have 3 black cats, I might have known, but unfortunately.
that's okay. I can only ask where the library is in Spanish. So we're in the same boat. That's all I've got.
I studied Spanish in high school, but I forgot everything.
Yeah. This might be a totally dumb question, but I don't know. Do a lot of people in France speak English?
Not a lot, no. And that's why
No?
they don't know anything about Trump. Yes.
Okay.
No.
I know that in some countries it's more common to be able to speak like
Yes, for
a
example,
couple
in
of
Germany.
languages. Mhm.
Yes. In Germany, they're really good in English. Yes. But in France, no. We learn English at school, but not everyone is fluent and can go on other websites to look for information. So
Right. Okay.
Hmm.
I just wasn't sure if that was a common or. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And before we go, don't forget to check out our sponsor, Lynn at Chicken Lady Fiber Arts. You can use the code PIK Deplorables20 to get 20% off of your purchase. And I don't think there's a limit to how many times you can use that. So anytime you get the hankering, you can check it out.
Definitely. And she's also very happy to do custom orders too. She recently did a set of yarn called Matilda that was all in pinks and yellows. Absolutely gorgeous. Go ahead and check out her website. Again, it is chickenladyfiberarts.com. Your blog is misshappyrose.com, Instagram under the same name, YouTube video, and the video should be published while this is out, which the name is Ravelry June 2019, Knitting, Politics, and Activism 2.0 in English, and then there's a separate video in French. And yeah, thank you for coming on.
thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
And yeah, and you guys can always find us on YouTube, Rumble, MeWe, Gab, Vero, Facebook, and Instagram. Oh, and Telegram. So make sure you find us, comment, like, subscribe. Make sure you check out Miss Happy Rose's video. And if you speak French, give her a little boost over there and watch that one too. So thank you very much, guys. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.